Chapter 7 Catherine Wilcomb Warren. The top part says 3 days ago, the horse took fright at something, and it took 6 hours to set her bones. There are neither mail nor telegrams. People seem to be in waiting for news. So many troops have gone and are still going. Henry. Catherine Wilcomb Warren's diary. May 26, 1861, later that day. The mistress considered Ruth for a few moments before she spoke. Catherine did not know exactly what to say to her. She felt she hardly knew her. Even after all these years of dressmaking and dress fitting, the woman was almost a stranger. Catherine knew Hampton's first wife very well. She had loved Sarah and would never allow herself to get that close again. So Catherine kept a respectable distance, and Henry encouraged it. I see you have a nice little garden there, Catherine said, pointing across to the garden patch. It was set off from the rest of the yard by large rocks. Those look to me like turnips, she said, eyeing the leaves. Are they tender? Ruth was trying as fast as she could to come out of her sleeping stupor. She needed to make sense out of what was before her. Did you have any luck with the collards? Oh, yes, ma'am. We sent some up to Elsa, Ruth managed to say. Yes, I remember the collards. They were good. I think I could have a taste for turnips if they are tender, the mistress said, trying to give Ruth a chance to respond to her. She knew Ruth to be a woman of a few words. Catherine thought she would wait another minute. She was considering whether she would head back up the hill and forget the reason she came down to her cabin. Then Ruth found her words. Ma'am, mistress, yes, the turnips are very nice. I had Kelly bring some to your kitchen door yesterday. She said the door was locked, so she knocked, but no one came to answer. She left them there for you, though. Yes, Catherine began. We may not have heard her. I have taken to keeping the house locked up. These are such uncertain times. The woman looked away from Ruth. Uncertain, Ruth repeated. You are welcome to have some. I can have Callie take some back to the house with you. Is Meek still helping Elsa with the cooking for you up there? She is. I'll clean them up and have Callie bring them to you, Elsa. That won't be necessary, Catherine said. I'd be happy to take them with me now. I cannot tell you how much I have a taste for turnips and cornbread with a bit of salt pork. Yes, ma'am, Ruth laughed. That sounds very tasty indeed. Well, the cornbread and the pork are out of the question, but I will be happy to have some turnips. Ruth quickly put her sewing back on top of the basket. She went across the road to her little garden. I'll pick you a few nice ones, tender ones, she said, smiling. Not too many. I know you have to eat too. Ruth used her apron to brush off the loose dirt from the turnip roots. Let me go wash some of the dirt off. Never mind, her mistress said. I can take them like this. Catherine seemed eager to hold the plants, whether they were caked with dirt or not, claiming them as hers. How is little Charlie? Callie tells me he has a fever and a bad cough. Yes, he does, and I don't know what else. I doctored on him a while ago and finally got him to rest. It seemed to quiet his cough. I thought I could get a little rest for myself just now. Then I woke up and saw you. I have a bit of cough syrup here from Elsa's cabinet, Catherine said, reaching for something in the folds of her skirt. She handed the bottle to Ruth. Keep it. Use it all if you need to. Ruth took the precious bottle, holding it in both of her hands. Thank you so much. Thank Elsa for me. I surely appreciate this, mistress. I'll give him a dose before he sleeps tonight. Maybe that will help him rest in the night. Catherine fashioned a weak smile as she held the turnips in her arm. She did not seem to mind the dirt on her bodice. I hope it helps, Mistress Catherine replied. There was a stillness neither one of them could fill words with, or smiles or gestures. The two women stood facing each other, not in judgment, but curiosity. It was somewhat comforting for Ruth to see her husband's face in the face of her mistress, even if some days it frightened her too. Ruth found herself staring at her mistress as if she were some kind of map with signs and a direction post that would help her discover something new. It sure is an honor to have you come here, Ruth said, breaking the silence, but if you had sent word, I would have brought them up to the house for you. When we were children, Catherine began, Nancy, our nurse, would sometimes dress us alike. Hampton had so much of the Wilcomb blood in him. People didn't know if our family often thought we might be twins. But as you know, I am older than Hampton. Ruth looked at her mistress without saying a word. He got the name Hampton from me. I named him for the nearby city of Hampton, Virginia. Catherine broke her gaze. This talk made her uncomfortable. These kinds of familiar things did not get talked about at all, and especially in mixed company, slave to master. Catherine shifted her weight from foot to foot. Suddenly she could not stop herself from speaking, as if the floodgates had opened. I was not raised for these kinds of affairs, Catherine said. I don't think I ever really considered what side of things I stood on. I was taught that this was all men's business. You can imagine that left me ill prepared to cope with the upheaval of what is happening in our lives. There was so much being done, and then her voice trailed off, as if she was poised on the brink. Of what? Catherine didn't know. But you tell me, Ruth, what could one woman do? Catherine seemed to have held on to her thoughts for too long. Now her words stood between the two women, creating a denser forest, a higher wall to climb. I love Hampton, Catherine finally said. You know we lost my sister Eloise. Mother, father are both gone. I never had. Her voice finally broke. Hampton is my only family. He is all that I have, my father's only son. But I always felt him to be my brother, even though we only share one parent. She paused, and her words gathered weight over Ruth. It was hard on Mother. But she had been ill so long. I am glad she did not live long enough to know Hampton because she would have loved him, and that would have broken her heart. She had already suffered so much before she died. The relations we have between each other, Catherine paused, seeming to consider what she was going to say, and then she began again. The relations we have between each other, slave and master, are crude and strange. I will grant you that. Many of us do not question slavery. It is something that we just accept. But I dare say that I do not wholly know how to live in it. It can make you feel that a part of you is all but disappeared, or someone else breathes through your lungs, sees through your eyes, speaks your words, and stands in your place entirely. Catherine stood motionless, seeming to try to catch her breath. I loved Sarah too, Catherine began again. I think it grieved me as much when she died as it did Hampton. She was Hampton's wife, and so that also made her my sister. I accepted her. I was with her and the midwife in the cabin when Callisto was born. Sarah had talked all along about what the baby's name would be if it were a girl. She loved that she could name her daughter for a cluster of stars, Catherine said, mustering a slight smile. When it became clear that Catherine's voice broke, she collected herself and continued her story. When Sarah died, I made her wishes known, and I named the baby. Hampton was in no shape. He was lost to his grief and his joy. So odd to have so much of both and all at once. I had wanted to send for the doctor or to take her with me into the house, but Henry would not have it. And when he finally agreed and the doctor arrived, her words trailed off again. It made me so sad for us to lose her. I'm glad Hampton found favor with you, she said. I was satisfied that you were a good choice. I could see that in all your kind-heartedness you would make a good mother to Callie. You had a good temperament and fine dressmaking skills, but there would be nothing I could do should my husband decide to send you away. I told Hampton as much. You are a good woman. I know why he loves you and why he married you. But I did warn him about what could have happened. There was nothing I could do about Joseph. I am so very sorry. I have made inquiries, but unless there is a miracle, I fear he is lost to us for good. Everything is so tangled up in this war business. Catherine stopped abruptly. There was surprise in her face, as if she had not intended to reveal so much. But it gave her relief as well. Ruth did not know how to pin this together in her mind. There had been so much in Catherine's words, and Ruth was unsure of what to make of it all. Finally, her mistress spoke again, worry etched in the lines of her face. He's gone? It was less a question, but Ruth still managed to answer. Yes.